You know that feeling when you've been doing everything right for months? You're saving money, you're investing consistently, you're saying no to things you want so you can put money away instead. And yet, when you check your account, it feels like nothing is actually happening. The number goes up a little, then an unexpected expense hits and it goes back down. And somewhere in the back of your mind, a voice starts asking whether any of this is actually working. Here's what that voice doesn't know. You're not stuck because you're doing something wrong. You're stuck because you haven't hit the first threshold yet. And once you understand what that threshold is and what happens on the other side of it, everything about how you think about building wealth is going to change. My name is Matt, and I spend way too much time thinking about money, wealth psychology, and why the path to financial independence feels impossibly hard at the beginning and almost effortless toward the end. Here's the framework I want to walk you through today. There are three specific net worth milestones that completely transform your relationship with money. To make this real, I want you to follow one person through all three milestones. Let's call him Alex. Alex is 28 years old, earns $55,000 per year, and decides today to start investing $500 every month. No inheritance, no windfall, no secret advantage. Just $500 per month invested consistently in a simple, diversified index fund earning an average 8% annual return. By the end of this video, you're going to see exactly what happens to Alex's money over the next 3 decades. And I promise you, the acceleration is genuinely difficult to believe until you see the numbers. The first milestone is $10,000. Now, before you roll your eyes and tell me you already know about emergency funds, stick with me because the reason $10,000 matters has almost nothing to do with the money itself. It has everything to do with what happens inside your brain when you have it. When you don't have any savings, your brain operates in what psychologists call scarcity mode. Every financial decision gets filtered through fear. You take the first job offer that comes along because you can't afford to wait for a better one. You stay in situations you hate because leaving feels too risky. You avoid thinking about money because thinking about it only makes you anxious. This isn't a character flaw. This is your brain doing exactly what it's designed to do when resources feel scarce. It narrows your focus to immediate survival and shuts down the part of your thinking that's capable of planning for the future. But here's what research from Vanguard actually found. Having just $2,000 in savings increases your financial well-being score by 21%. Not $20,000, not $200,000, $2,000. That's less than most people spend on a vacation. But that small buffer is enough to begin shifting your brain out of pure survival mode. When you push that number to $10,000, you've crossed into entirely different psychological territory. Suddenly, you have what I call breathing room. You can handle most common financial emergencies without going into debt. Your car breaks down, annoying but not catastrophic. An unexpected medical bill shows up, stressful but manageable. Your landlord raises your rent. Now you have options instead of just panic. But the deeper change is this. With $10,000 saved, your brain finally has the bandwidth to start thinking of growth instead of just survival. Before this milestone, almost every financial thought you have is defensive. How do I protect what I have? How do I make it to next payday? How do I avoid the next disaster? After this milestone, your thinking starts to become offensive. How do I grow this? What opportunities am I not seeing? What risks are actually worth taking? Think about what it actually takes to save $10,000 if you're starting from zero. Unless you're making exceptional money, this requires real sacrifice. You have to track your spending. You have to say no consistently. You have to resist the pull of 100 small purchases that feel justified in the moment. And when you do it, you prove something to yourself that no one else can prove for you. You prove that you are someone who can delay gratification when it actually matters. That identity shift is worth more than the $10,000 itself. Now back to Alex. He starts investing $500 a month at age 28. Getting to that first $10,000 takes him about 19 months, a year and a half of watching a number that barely seems to move. During this stretch, Alex's contributions are doing almost all of the work. His investments are generating returns, but they're so small relative to what he's putting in that they barely register. He questions whether this is worth it approximately once a week. It is worth it. He just can't see why yet. Here's the math that will change how you think about this. When you invest $10,000 and earn an 8% annual return, you make $800 in a year without doing anything. That's not life-changing money, but it's the beginning of something that is. Because from this point forward, every dollar you add to your investments has a partner. That partner is your existing balance, and it's working every single day, whether you show up or not. The second milestone is $100,000. And this is the one that most people underestimate so severely that I genuinely believe it's the reason most people give up before they ever experience real wealth building. Because $100,000 is not just a bigger number than $10,000. It is a fundamentally different financial reality. Alex hits $100,000 at age 36. That's 8 years of consistent investing, 8 years of $500 per month, never missing, never touching it. Of that $100,000, roughly $48,000 came from Alex's own contributions. The other $52,000 was generated entirely by compound growth. His money has been quietly working in the background, earning returns on returns, and those gains are now becoming real numbers rather than abstract percentages. But here's the number that changes everything. At $100,000 invested with an 8% annual return, Alex's portfolio is now generating $8,000 per year without him contributing a single additional dollar. That's $667 per month in passive returns for money that is simply sitting there, doing its job. That's more than Alex's car payment. For many people, it's more than their rent was when they first started out. And this is where the story starts to get genuinely interesting, because the balance between Alex's contributions and his returns is about to tip in a way that changes the entire feel of the journey. Here's a comparison that makes this impossible to ignore. Imagine two people, both investing $500 per month starting today. Person A is starting from zero. Person B already has $100,000 invested. After 10 more years at 8% annual returns, person A has about $91,000. Person B has about $308,000. Same monthly contribution, same time period, same rate of return. The only difference is that person B already had the second milestone in the bank. That gap is not luck. That is compound interest doing what compound interest does when you give it enough to work with. But here's where the psychological challenge of reaching $100,000 is most dangerous. This is where lifestyle inflation does the most damage. Because somewhere between $10,000 and $100,000, most people start earning more money. They get raises, they advance in their careers, their income grows. And instead of directing that additional income toward investments, they upgrade their lifestyle to match it. Nicer apartment, newer car, more expensive habits. This isn't inherently wrong, but it is the single most common reason people take 20 years to reach the second milestone instead of 10. The rule that protects you here is simple. Every time your income increases, at least half of that increase should go toward investments before it ever touches your lifestyle. Not all of it, half of it. The other half you can absolutely spend on things that improve your quality of life, but that first half goes to work before you see it. This single habit applied consistently over the years between milestones 1 and 2 is the difference between reaching $100,000 in 8 years or reaching it in 20. Alex follows this rule. Every raise he gets, half goes straight to investments. By the time he's 36 and sitting at $100,000, Alex isn't just richer than he was at 28. He thinks differently about money than he did at 28. The fear that used to drive every financial decision has been replaced by something that feels a lot like confidence. The third milestone is $500,000. When Alex is sitting at $100,000 at age 36, $500,000 feels like a completely different universe. It feels like a number that belongs to a different kind of person, living a different kind of life. But here's what nobody tells you about $500,000. If you've already crossed the first 2 milestones, you don't grind your way to $500,000. You almost fall into it. Here's why. At $100,000 invested, continuing to contribute $500 per month at 8% annual returns, Alex reaches $500,000 at age 50. That's 14 more years. But here's what makes that number remarkable. Of that $500,000, only about $84,000 came from Alex's contributions during those 14 years. The remaining $316,000 was generated entirely by compound growth. His money did more than 3 times the work he did. That ratio only improves from here. Let me put that in a timeline so the acceleration is impossible to miss. Age 28, Alex starts, balance 0. Age 30, 19 months in, Alex hits his first $10,000. Age 36, 8 years in, Alex crosses 100,000. His money's warming up. Age 42, 14 years in, Alex crosses 200,000. His money generated $122,000 of that entirely on its own. Age 46, 18 years in, Alex crosses 300,000. He's now earning roughly $24,000 per year in passive returns. That's $2,000 per month from doing absolutely nothing. Age 50, 22 years in, Alex crosses $500,000. Read that timeline again. It took Alex 8 years to go from $0 to $100,000. It took him 14 more years to go from $100,000 to $500,000. But look at the acceleration inside that second stretch. The jump from $100,000 to $200,000 took 6 years. The jump from $200,000 to $300,000 took 4 years. The jump from $300,000 to $500,000 took just 4 more years to cover twice the distance. The snowball is picking up speed in a way that's genuinely difficult to comprehend until you see it laid out like this. Now here is why $500,000 is the third milestone and not just a number on the way to somewhere else. At $500,000, using the 4% rule, which is the most widely accepted framework for sustainable retirement withdrawals, Alex's portfolio can generate $20,000 per year indefinitely without ever touching the principal. That's $1,667 per month in passive income. Not enough to retire on for most people, but it's the point where financial independence stops being a vague dream and becomes a specific mathematical target. Think about what that means practically. If Alex's monthly expenses are $4,000, he needs $1.2 million invested to be fully financially independent by the 4% rule. At $500,000, he is 42% of the way there. And because of how compound growth accelerates from here, getting from 500,000 to 1.2 million takes dramatically less time than getting from 0 to 500,000. The math is working so hard in his favor at this point that the finish line is genuinely in sight. Here's what changes psychologically at $500,000 that nobody prepares you for. Alex stops thinking about money as something he manages and starts thinking about it as something that works for him. The relationship completely flips. He spent years chasing the number. At $500,000, the number starts pulling him forward. His portfolio is generating so much monthly return that the compound growth itself becomes motivating in a way that monthly contributions never quite were. Checking his investment balance goes from being mildly anxious to genuinely exciting. The game has changed. Now, here's the part that most people miss about all 3 of these milestones. They are not equally hard. The distance from $0 to $10,000 is the hardest financial journey Alex will ever take. Not because the number is large, but because he's fighting his own psychology the entire way. He's saving without seeing meaningful returns. He's delaying gratification without feeling the payoff. He's building a habit that hasn't rewarded him yet. Most people quit somewhere in this first stretch, not because they can't do it, but because they don't understand that this is supposed to be hard. They think if it feels this difficult, there must be something wrong with their approach. There isn't. This is just what the beginning of wealth building feels like before the math starts working in your favor. Once you hit $10,000, the journey gets easier, not because you're doing anything differently, but because your money is now helping you. At $100,000, the journey gets dramatically easier. Your returns are now meaningful monthly numbers rather than abstract percentages. At $500,000, the journey becomes almost self-sustaining. You're still contributing, you're still being disciplined, but the outcome feels increasingly inevitable rather than uncertain. Alex is 50 years old and sitting at $500,000. He started this journey at 28 with nothing but $500 a month and the discipline to leave it alone. He never earned a massive salary. He never got lucky with a hot stock. He never inherited anything. He just understood something that most people don't, that wealth doesn't build in a straight line. It builds slowly, then suddenly. The mistake I see most often is people treating all 3 milestones as equally far away. They look at $500,000 and feel defeated before they even start. But that's not how this works. You don't need to figure out how to get to $500,000. You need to figure out how to get to $10,000. That's the only milestone that matters right now, because every milestone after the first one gets progressively easier, faster, and more inevitable. The first $10,000 is the boulder at the top of the hill. Getting it moving is the hardest part. Everything after that is momentum. Alex figured that out at 28. You can figure it out today. The math doesn't care how old you are or how late you think you've started. It only cares that you start. So start. I'm Matt. Thanks for watching.